Everybody to talk that talk.
Where we have unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable, let's get down conversation. All right.
And there's going to be a blue logo, blue and gold logo with a microphone on it. Like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our shows.
Absolutely. Passion is network. Oh yeah, we live. Oh yeah. All right. All right. So welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. I am going to introduce my panel. To my left, we have Portia.
Hi, everybody.
And to my further, we have Quan.
Everybody.
All right, so what I want to do first is, because we're in an area right now where you probably haven't actually met these two, I want you guys to be able to tell them about yourself real quick and give them some information.
Good morning, everybody. My real name is Portia Dorch. I go by Portia. I am the current SILCAT coordinator for Norfolk State University. I'm color guard. I marched for Norfolk State. I was a section leader. I got my bachelor's from there. I'm graduating May 6th with my master's in MBA. And that's a little bit about me.
All right. Again, good morning. My name is Quan Mitchell. I marched in the marching storm from 2006 to 2009. I'm a percussion major. I'm currently the head band director at Evan E. Worthing Early College High School in Houston, Texas, and the Houston Independent School District. Graduated from Prairie View, as well as I graduated with my master's in music education from Adams State University.
All right, here we go. So what I typically like to do is I like to start the conversation by asking the question, and I ask the question to the panel. They give me their thoughts, and from there we move forward. All right, so here we go. Here's the first question. The first question I have: are we building music educators or band heads? Are we building music educators or band heads? Quan, you go first.
All right, y'all. So this is part of the show where y'all gonna be like, either you gonna agree, or y'all gonna be like, damn, that boy crazy. So I'm gonna just let you know, in my opinion, we're building band heads. That's just point blank period. We're building band heads because I've been in this education, music education, for about 12 years as well. As Julian spoke early when he introduced himself, I taught at charter schools, middle schools, private sectors, public sectors, you name it, I've taught it. The reality is right now, for our specific culture, if you can arrange and you're popular on social media, then they assume that assimilates with you being a great band director. And that's not true. If you look at it now, just being transparent, many people have jobs or these positions and they don't even have the proper credentials. So what are the standards that we're setting for the next generation of band directors? I try to emulate the Professor George Edwards. He's here, Dr. Phillips, Dr. William P. Foster, and so forth and so on. These people that were in the trenches that created a standard and built greatness from that standard. The reality now is, if you have a social media platform, you have more than 2,000, 3,000 followers, and you can arrange, even though you cross voice, and that's a whole different conversation, but you're the person. That's what it is. And if we're going to be honest with ourselves, the student teaching process is flawed in itself, because you're walking into a situation that's already established. You don't have to deal with the administration issues, as Crystal said in her presentation, but yet and still you're a great band director. I'm just being honest. I don't understand how we say there are great band directors, or we're not creating music educators. But if you sit down and really think about it, all we're really doing is making this craft social media popular. That's it. If you really sit down, many of these people have not built anything, but they have these positions. And if we're just going to be honest and transparent, that's at the college level too. So if you're not perfecting your craft, if you're not in those books and attending consortiums and different clinics, Midwest clinics, TMEA, those different things, then how are you getting better? It's a popularity competition. So in my opinion, we're not creating music educators that are going to teach, that shows the growth of your band or orchestra or your ensemble. We're creating people that Where I'm from, we become ghetto celebrities.
All right. Portia, are we building music educators or are we building band heads?
From my perspective, it's completely different. And I know anything that's not changing is not growing, is dead. But I came from an era, and my band director, Dr. O'Neill Sanford, is here. On Saturdays, he would always like disappear. He wasn't, in the front. He would the band would be going down the street and we'd be like, where's Doc? He says, job is done today. That's what I'm used to. Put in the work during the week, and he would just be doing the social part of the job, greeting people and things like that. And with the Spartan Legion, in my experience, and even back then, game day was in the hands of the drum majors to push the band forward and to make sure things. There are band directors now that are on podiums, throwing Wheaties boxes, flipping their hats off, doing a lot of push-ups and all these things at performances. And that's because of the social media hype. And that's because our bands have become more about social media than the actual product we're putting out. And I just think that's strange. It's also in line with the fact that there's more emphasis placed on the stands than in field shows from when I was in the band. Why? Because people like that on social media. So we're shifting things. So do I think educators are being created or people who are going to continue to grow? No, people are going to continue to shift in the direction of what can get me more likes, whatever I can do to drive up our following, whatever I can do to get more people to pay attention to the program, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. That's what we're going towards.
Okay. So in the lane of the things that you all said, do you all think that you can have both? Do you think that you can be the band head and still be the music educator?
No. Let's define that. And so I think for clarity, we have to define what a band head is. A band head is the one that wants to do marching band all year. I'm tired. First of all, I'm tired. But if you're not creating a different avenue or a different ensemble, really, what are you doing? Like, let's be honest, y'all. I think this is like the first year, a real year since COVID to have a full season. Everybody that's a collegiate director in here, we're tired. Because let's be honest, in Texas, as soon as spring hit, it's concert season or it's jazz band season. It's another form of ensemble. Like, why we still marching 8 to 5? Why we still having Battle of the Bands and it's February, March, but your festival adjudication is in April? So you think you're going to put a whole program that's truly adequate, that can represent those students properly, and you've been marching all year? No, I get it. Don't get it twisted. We did Mardi Gras because we got to pay bills. But when paying bills and doing things specifically for quote unquote the marching band culture supersedes your standard as a musician, then that's the problem. That's the problem, bro. So no, I'm sorry, you can't do both. One thing about Drumline was true. I gotta agree with Dr. Lee on this one. We educate, then we entertain. The problem is now we entertain more than we educate. So that's, I mean, like it's a problem. We don't even know. We could look at some of these Battle of the Bands, and then we wonder, what's your tuning sequence? Like, just being honest, because like it all don't sound good.
No.
Not saying that everyone sounds bad, but it all don't sound good. And you can tell how, the approach of a band from their tuning sequence.
But man, hey, you got to realize you saying it. Everybody they don't sound good, but they got 450,000 likes.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it when they sound sound amazing.
Everybody equates loud to good, and that ain't that's not the truth.
I'm gonna tell you this.
All loud ain't good.
I'm gonna tell you this. McDonald's have 1 billion served. That don't mean it's healthy for you. That's all I'm saying.
All right, okay. All right, let's move on to the next topic because I know we got a short amount of time. We usually do this show for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, so we can't do that today. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. First of all, welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. All right, I know you kind of hit on it. You always do that anyway.
Sure.
All right, but how much marching band is too much marching band?
Too much what we doing right
What the Legion did this year.
now.
Too much.
What we doing right now.
Too much.
Okay, so
Going into February, all the way into February, not having a Christmas break. I understand. We went to the Rose Bowl. That was amazing. I was dead. Okay. Tired. I mean, when you talk about you start planning, I can't speak for nobody but where I am in March, April, May, and June. You having these meetings to prepare. Then you get to really meeting all the time. And by the time you get to July and August is band camp, you rolling. We went the entire season. Then we went to the Rose Bowl. I think we had a total of, the students didn't leave on time. They stayed 2 additional weeks. I think I went home to be with my parents for 4 days. The day after Christmas, I left and came back. We were still meeting. We went to California. We came back. We were away from the students 9 days. Then we came back to prepare for the All-Star Battle of the Bands. Then we came to Atlanta. Excuse me? I think I was away from those students total in that time, 15 days. I'm sorry, I don't even work for Norfolk State University. I have a whole nother job. That was too much. I'm sorry, that's a lot. I can't speak for nobody else, but I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and I was done. That is too much. And if I'm being 100% honest, after we left the All-Star Battle of the Bands, we got on a bus and came back 11 hours. Stick a fork in me. That is too much. I understand that we have to do these things, but I mean, that's a whole nother subject. If you're going to have us do it, you're going to make money off us, you can at least take care of us. Coming back 11 hours on a bus with no shower, no nothing, after being in that dome all day was ridiculous.
you was on the bus, Stank?
We were in the dome from 10 o'clock in the morning to after we performed. We got on a bus and came back 11 hours to Virginia.
That's unacceptable.
Y'all just sticky.
Just sticky.
Oh, here's the thing. I didn't even march. So I wasn't as sweaty as those students.
What you smoking?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, that bus smelled terrible. So what do you think about those people who say, I'm doing marching band and I can still teach in marching band?
Okay.
I can't speak to nobody else.
Well, let me say this. There are certain techniques that you have to develop, and that's why you have a specific spiral curriculum that you build, like building blocks every year. If you are, and we're just gonna be honest, as a band director in the fall, when you're marching on autopilot, let's be honest, it's the next performance. How can I fix that? Next performance. How can I fix that? Next performance. Yes, you're on your horn, but if it takes time to sit down and be like, hey, maybe I have to fix this particular student's embouchure because maybe they were taught wrong. If I'm really speaking about the oral shape of your mouth, maybe I have to take time one-on-one with this student or this particular section to focus on this. If they're having issues with rhythms, I have to sit down and use some books, Winning Rhythms or whatever, and sit down and focus on this. You can't do that every week when you have basketball game, football game, pep rally. Because then if I have a bad showing, I'm excoriated because I have a bad showing, right? But but as an educator, I'm frustrated because I'm not to truly teach. I'm teaching through performances, which is not always great. There's a book called Teaching with Performances that breaks down all of the synthesis in your program, but that's for concert music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, let's be honest. How much do you really have to break down for hey in the middle of the bone? I mean, ain't there's whole notes, half notes, and quarter?
I mean, you may get some
got a little dot.
yeah, you got some eighth notes in there.
But outside of that,
In the middle, you could probably talk about staccatos, maybe marcato.
Man, shut up, man. How are you really pushing that? And then we get frustrated when we say, well, these kids don't like that white stuff. Well, it's not white, it's music. But how are you introducing it to them?
Well, we not. But see, here's the thing. See, and I was gonna think about it, and I was kind of gonna bring it up, but you kind of brought it up anyway. When we start talking,
I only got 45.
I know it gets, but see, it gets difficult, man, because we start getting what is this white conversation?
I mean, we don't have to get into. Y'all come see us every week at 7:15, 7:30, ladies. But I'm just saying, it's like we're pushing a narrative that's not true because maybe you're not strong. Maybe that's your weakness. Yeah, that too. Yeah, like maybe you're weak in that area. Because the truth is, and I'm gonna just put it out here, we have to be mindful about what we expose as an African American student. I'm gonna say it because the reality of it is, whatever I put out, people who are not in this culture think that's the culture. So when on my resume, when it says Prairie View University, where I reside, the conversation then turns to be like, so what do you know? So now I'm proving myself, not from the resume and accomplishments, but I got to prove myself again. So when they see the ensemble, they don't just see Quan Mitchell, they be like, what university you went to? They don't question nobody else. And everybody that attended a historical Black college know that particular weight. They just had a battle of the band in a city with middle schoolers. I think it was called Beat the Lead, which I'm from that area. I get it. But because we're not exposing them to other literature, then they're going to be like dismissing. So if you're exposing to a child, hey, you may not like vegetables, but it has benefits too. So I can't just give you McDonald's Happy Meals every day. I do have to give you some lima beans every now and then. Hold that nose pinching, but you're going to see the benefit of it in the long run. That's the problem. So I feel like at the end of the day, what we're doing to our students is truly a disservice to just show them you can play popular tunes, but you just dismiss William Grant Still. Okay, so you have no idea what Percy Granger is. Oh, let's talk about William Owens. Like you're not even exposing them to a whole nother light, because maybe they don't want a marching band in college. Maybe they want to sit down and play and make, and focus on it like that. But because we're not doing it because of our biasness, then we're wrong. As an educator, you teach everything, and you allow them to make that conscious decision. So you're taking something from them, and that's wrong. That's a disservice.
Yeah. You're not exposing them to all possibilities and opportunities. Because everybody don't want to live this marching band life. It's not for everybody. I'll tell you that now. So, yeah, I agree. He said it all.
Yeah, he'll get. Yeah, he gonna get the preaching. He gonna always put the period on it, right.
We got 45 minutes.
We got 45 minutes. So because we have 45 minutes, should we go to the next topic or? All right, let's go to the last topic then. All right, so welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. We have the unfiltered, unscripted, uncomfortable conversation about band, HBCU band culture, music education, and more. We actually have people watching live. So if you're watching live, go ahead, like, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. All right. This is the last topic, and then we're gonna open up the floor if y'all have any questions, anything like that. Are we behind in our thinking with music education? Are we behind in our thinking with music education? Coach.
We both looked at you first.
Yeah. I need Quan to breathe a little bit.
Y'all already know the answer to this.
What's that?
Absolutely. We have to grow. And what I'm seeing, and we talk about this all the time, is marching band has become way more popular. It's in the limelight more, it's being shared more. And so all of the other aspects of students growing and learning and being exposed to other genres, because, when people try different stuff in marching band, the question is, why did they do that? You can't be different.
That ain't part of the culture.
Right.
Yeah.
That ain't us. Why we doing
Why
that?
we doing it? Yeah.
A linear drill is bad.
What? They switched it up. They being somebody else.
Yeah.
That's not what they do.
They still do
Y'all brought sound system on and props? Oh no, that ain't what we do. That's not
who is that? So we are limited here. We get bashed if we do something different in this lane, but this lane has become more popular. Look at the number of battle of bands that there are now. I have never seen so many in my whole life. When I was in the band, and I don't know that it was that long ago, this culmination of the season was Honda.
Maybe Battle Fest.
Maybe Norfolk had Battle Fest.
Yeah, we had the Battle Fest back in the day.
But it's so many more of them now. It's like Every other week it's a battle of bands. I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of tired at this point, if I'm being honest. It's so much. We talked about it this year. I was in band overload. I was like, oh my God, like, did you watch that? No, I work with it. I gotta watch it. It's too much. But we're limited now because this has grown. All of these battle of bands is all over social media. So now we're going into February, March, April, all these things. So now jazz ensemble. All these other things that used to take precedent in the spring are getting less and less time. So the growth is getting less and less. And if you notice, these marching bands aren't getting a lot better because they don't have that extra over here. And so instead of progressing, we're regressing and we're going back and we're losing things. And I don't mean no harm. There are no, and I said this before, people got all in a tizzy. Yeah, other than Drumline Live, there are no professional marching bands. There are not. So when they leave these universities and they want another source of income outside of music education, the things we're losing would be their moneymaker. So now we're not preparing people outside of these marching bands and these universities. We're going backwards. And that's a problem. I used to love the spring because my auxiliary piece was done and I got to go to the concerts and sit back. I like music. That's not happening anymore enough because we're still doing this forever. We are behind. We're not growing. We're not transitioning. And we're allowing people who are outside of this culture to dictate how we do things. And that's a problem because they keep throwing them. We need the money to pay the bills because our university not meeting that need, but that's a different conversation. And so we going, but we losing. So we're behind.
You really want me to go after that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try.
You got to put the stamp on it, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna try. Ask the question again.
Are we behind in our thinking with music education?
We are when we've allowed standards to lower. Yes, we're behind. When you have students that are in positions that are teaching the next generation, and let me just say, I know that a degree isn't everything, but a degree does show that you have a sense of tenacity. And all the teachers that are fully certified, it costs you something to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's no difference from a person. I'm from a small town that's like 30 minutes outside of New Orleans called LaPlace, Louisiana. And how I have 12 brothers and sisters, long story, but it's a lot of us. And one thing about my grandmother, she had a table for adults and she had a table for kids. Mm-hmm. And when grown folks, when the conversation even got kind of loud, she said, y'all kids go to the back. I didn't have an opportunity to sit at the grown table until they felt that I had a passage that you can add to this conversation at this grown table, because we endeavored through something to sit at this table. Mm-hmm. With all due respect, there's directors that are arrogant, boastful, and I really know that you don't know what you're doing, but you're sitting at my table. And I had to earn everything that I've got. So are we taking backward steps, which I hate and don't delight? Yes, we are. So the whole point is, at the end of the day, is we're taking backward steps merely because what are we doing in the spring? Like after fall, what are we doing? Are we teaching the next music majors how to not program? Are we teaching the next generation of music educators, hey, it's okay, go get this temporary certification and take less money than what you're worth, instead of grinding it out and suffering for this little while, and then be able to sustain an income that's proper, but also you're teaching your students keep going, because our students want to quit too. What are we teaching when we look at these jazz festivals and there's a culture and a genre of music that we created? You don't even see us,
and we ain't even in the room.
So I don't understand that. We're not even teaching our students how to build curriculums. Now, and we know when you're teaching in urban areas, that's on you, because your administrator has no clue.
No clue.
So you're literally walking in a situation where you have to build with no vision, no clue, no curriculum. You don't know how to do inventory. You don't know how to order uniforms. The stuff that, honestly, as a band director, you do more of those things than have to teach. I'm happy Crystal had a presentation earlier, because what she solidified for me is I do half of that. I need to read that book though. I wish I could. 80% of my job is making sure that the job is sustainable. The other 20%, well, let me say this: there's 15% I'm a counselor, and then the other 5% I finally get to teach. That's why we deal with so much burnout, because what we think we're going to do with this job title, oh, you're not doing it. We think we can be creative.
But see, the other part about that is, and I think one thing that we don't talk about a lot is, in our universities a lot, we always think about the perfect program. And we're not taught about, you may not get that perfect program. It may just be you. You ain't gonna have no assistant.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So what does that look like?
Right.
Yeah. And we don't have those conversations about, like you said, building the curriculum, dealing with your budget, being the counselor,
setting up your bamboosa club.
Yeah.
Literally
If you get one.
Right. Setting up that paying that $300 to the state so that you can be a 501.
Yep.
And that you don't go to jail because you're taking checks. Like, it's like we're already behind the 8 ball for some of the schools that we teach in. For those that don't know me, I teach at Worthing. When I arrived at Worthing, I've been at the school for 4 years. They had 7 band directors in 4 years. 7 in 4 years. And then the fine arts director at that time literally said, hey, I'm not giving you one instrument until you do the inventory. It took me 2 weeks to do the inventory because I did it by myself. We had over 160 cases.
With no instruments.
We had 20 instruments in all the cases. The clarinets that we had 6 of them. All of them was dry rotted. Unfixable, literally. And what we have to do in our district, you have to send them to the repair company for them to say, this is not working. Then we can replace it. When we were at me and Luke was at a particular charter school, they gave us a budget, but because the large instrument was coming in,
that budget was gone.
We literally went to a music renting instrument company and rented instruments for the year. What do you do to problem solve when you have those students who really can't afford it? And that parent sits down and says, Mr. Mitchell, either I'm gonna pay these dues or I'm gonna feed my kids. That's what we're dealing with. And with all due respect, you want me to think about a battle of the band, bro? When I deal with kids that are gang affiliated, say, Mr. Mitchell, I have to leave practice early because I gotta walk past the neighborhood that the people that's trying to kill me. So I gotta get out at a certain time for your dog. They don't know, though. These are the things we're endeavoring every day. But we having popularity competitions with band directors. And again, I'm not knocking anyone for what they do, but we have to sit back and ask ourselves, what are we teaching them? And we need to draw the line in the sand. If this gonna be the standard, and the standard is a standard of mediocrity and popularity, well, guess what? Quan Mitchell gonna go to the other side. Maybe I've always been rebellious in my life. But you go to that side, and I'm gonna go over here. And even if I have my 12 gonna be great. And you can have your 80 that sound like trash. Because that's what it sounds like, honestly, bro. But we're taking backward steps.
Absolutely.
I got one question real quick.
Yeah.
If the great band directors that we looked up to, if we could ask them what was their standard when they started their program, like Dr. Phillips. Yeah, I'm gonna ask him. You feel me? I'm gonna ask him. Either on camera or off, but I'm gonna ask him. What was your standard when you started? If you guys, Dr. Sanford, what was your mindset when you took over the Legion?
And see that, and I want to say that was one of the beauties of him being on the show and just having that conversation with him, because we had the opportunity to be able to find out more things about him that we just didn't know.
Right. Watch this. Dr. Phillips, when you took over Virginia State, what was your mindset?
My mindset was thinking, what would a complete program be? What am I going to do first semester after the Christmas break? Or what concert literature am I going to be doing? And what will the pep band do? Putting all of the entities of the program together, but marching band had to be put on the shelf on Christmas.
Absolutely.
And only because of Honda that I continue to do in January.
Yes, sir.
But had it not been for that, we would have been on the shelf at Christmas.
Yeah.
And I feel that, and no harm and no disrespect to anybody's program, but I feel that a lot of what we give in this country is a disgrace. Because kids leave school and the only thing they can play is what they play during football season, but they can't go and mingle with other musicians because they don't breathe well enough. And all of those are things that were put to a higher level during the second semester. When you knew you had a concert band preparation because you were going to somebody's festival and let judges adjudicate you and determine where your program is so that you can see what your growth will need to be for the next year. But I was introduced to a term that I didn't know and I still don't know because I was told that the people I teach don't crank.
Loud.
If it ain't loud, it ain't
That's
right.
what I was saying earlier. Loud is good now.
And then the second thing is that you all don't sound like.
Yeah.
We had that conversation all the time.
Ain't enough edge to the sound.
So watch this. So if that's, and I know Dr. Phillips, they went to Honda for like 10 years at one point straight. Like my thing is, if that's not the standard, then I don't want to be a part of what you're doing. And I'm just maybe because I was raised around seasoned folks with wisdom, because the difference between knowledge and wisdom, knowledge is what you know out of a book, wisdom when you apply the knowledge. My thing is, if that's not it, I don't want to be a part of it, bro. And so we're going to be the few that push that. And you always know the few have to be martyrs first to get the recognition later.
Martyrs.
Martyrs.
Yeah. You know what, bro? You know what I mean.
I didn't know we were in
That
construction right now.
accent,
I'm
that
just.
accent. You know, it got a little twang.
You gotta.
You know, he has a little twang.
I don't do me like that, no. But like, you gotta be the person that has to be the sacrificial lamb for the greater good. Bro.
Absolutely.
Because we see it all the time. They say our standards are too high on this show. We
We
expect
bougie.
too much. We're bougie. Well, the Legion gets that all the time. It's not that. It's standards. And like Quan said earlier, they're looking at everything we do as the culture. What are we selling? What are we pushing? And one thing we used to sell is versatility. Yeah, we can do this, but we can also do this well. But now we're transitioning to a space that I don't even really recognize. And it's weird. And the fact that we're told we're not changing with the times, we're the problem, is what's crazy.
What's crazy is, think about YouTube now. We focus in such this, what is it, silo?
Vacuum.
Like this vacuum where we think we're the only ones that watch this on YouTube. There's people that are doing reaction videos in Austria, Switzerland, about HBCU bands.
Yep.
There's a band in Russia that was playing Southern's version of Cold Hearted Snake. So they love our culture, but then what are we exposing to them though? Because, well, I don't want to say the Russia band sound bad because I don't want no issues, but
You don't need those.
I don't want them type of problems. Like I ain't scared.
But you can only do so much.
Yeah, but I'm cautious.
We're not gonna cross that line.
Yeah, but I'm
Right.
cautious. But if they think that that's cranking, so to speak, then what are we teaching them? Because that's their first introduction to.
Yeah.
And the greatest analogy I think Dr. Bill Cosby said was your presentation is great, but it was presented on a trash can lid. So that's what we're presenting to the world now. That all you can do is the same patterns in motion that these band directors learn from 1970 from Bill Moffitt. Like nothing changed. We still hot dogging, bro.
Yeah.
We still hot dogging, hitting that line and
Yes,
turning
sir.
back around and doing diamond drills and
That's it.
like, and you know, the format the
No
same.
innovation.
Like come in fanfare, blow it here. Okay, okay, dance formation, dance routine, straight lines, and then we out. That's why we're gonna be honest though. That's why people don't like the Legion. That's why they don't like FAMU. That's why they don't like a lot of the schools that will buck the status quo. North Carolina ain't.
That's what I was about to say. A&T
Like they
is continuously doing something
They'll try
different.
some stuff.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so when you really sit down and think about it, bro, it's like, what are we presenting to the masses?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because we, that's that MEAC stuff.
Yes, sir. Yeah. It's
and I was
the
a part
MEAC
of it.
stuff.
I was.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
That's
lie.
You were one of them.
I was one of them.
That was
I've been
that- that's that-
delivered.
that's that-
I've been delivered.
I'm glad you came to the other
I've
side.
been, I'm just,
I mean, they all right, but that's that MEAC.
Yeah.
because we did. We was like, man, that ain't swag. Who ain't swag, baby? You know, like we thought that's what it
And
was.
you know what's crazy? It's like a cult following. Swag is right. Like everything outside of that is just trash. We don't care what it is.
And we
that's
did.
nuts.
We did. I'm not gonna lie. We did until I started. Like I told Chuck, I had that 2004 DVD, and I was like, I like NCAT. And then I happened to see Norfolk on the other side, and then I was like,
We taught you how to say that yesterday.
And you messed that
I
up
did.
just now.
Norfolk.
No. Norfolk.
Norfolk.
Say it for me. You
Norfolk.
Wait, watch this.
Thank
You said I'm
Okay, Norfolk.
See, it's like subtitle. Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, like I started seeing. But again, what I just said about exposure,
Mm-hmm.
you don't even know you like it until you try it. So you like rusted Brussels sprouts? But I've never tried them, so I'm gonna try some. But guess what? Those bands on the East Coast, man, I love them. Like I like all we really knew in the South was really FAMU and Bethune. We didn't know about NCAT. We didn't know about A&T. We didn't know about Virginia State. You know, and that's why Honda was so great, because that was the first time all of these different styles of bands, but all the bands look the same and sound the same for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm gonna open it up for questions in a second, but I definitely agree with you. Being a person from the South, all I knew was Southern Jackson, PV, Texas Southern fam.
That's it.
It wasn't until I went to Norfolk that I got exposed to A&T, Virginia State, Savannah State, Dale State, South Carolina State, and so on and so forth, Hampton. But it gave me a different view of what band looked like.
I'm gonna say this for you.
Before you say that, because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even care for tonal drums. And as a percussionist,
Yeah, I feel that.
if it didn't have a drop bass, it wasn't good when I was young. But it wasn't until I got to Norfolk, I was like, man, this kind of cool. It's a little hip, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
But I'll just end with this. One thing I say about the MEAC, y'all were not afraid to be who you wanted to be, and you can tell you had a visionary on the helm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from Morgan all the way down that eastern seaboard, like y'all was cool to be y'all, but when it came to the South, it came across like if you were not inching or edging yourself towards Southern, then you were really irrelevant. But that's why I love PV so much, because the box was doing drum features. Like they were just different, bro, and they were cold. Like we were really cold. Go look up them boxes. Like
I had to study it, man.
Yeah, like we really was.
2012, I had to study.
Like we was really ahead of our time. Like for those things of what we were doing. So, but I shout out to the MEAC and all the legends, in the MEAC. Every band was different. Every band sounded different. Their approach was different, and even though it was different, it still was respectable and clean.
All right, this is typically the point of the show where we kind of open it up for anybody to ask questions, even if you dispute on any of the things that have been discussed. So does anybody in the room have a question or a comment or anything like that? Yes, sir. Can you grab this microphone, because people online are like, hey, we can't hear nobody.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it. My bad, y'all gotta excuse me. I left my other microphone in the car. There you go. Hopefully that reaches. There you go. Hey.
A lot of my friends who are professional musicians who are not American are really confused model of music education, because they say what they're really confused about, and I guess what I'm asking you all is how are you defining professional music making, training professional music makers versus recreational music makers? Because many of them who are from other countries do not come out of a marching band system, and they don't see that, for example, you're not learning orchestral excerpts, you're not learning how to improvise, you're not learning how to transpose some of the time. I mean, skills that professional musicians need to know, marching band's not doing it. So even if you have a school and you have marching band and an orchestra, if you have marching band and a wind band and an orchestra, they're still looking at that as like, there's no orchestra, why? So how are you all, I guess, seeing in marching band, how that's preparing people for professional music making versus amateur or recreational music making?
Well, I don't know if they can hear me on there, so I'm gonna say this. I can tell you, and I can only go off of some of the experiences I've had. I've been blessed to be able to be a part of the DCI community. I was a trumpet tech in 2017. I was a captain head in 2018. Well, 2017, 2018, and 2019. There is a level of education that's happening in that sector that I'm just going to be honest, I don't see it happening in HBCUs. I've taken a kid, I've been blessed to be able to take a kid who was a middle school player. She was in 8th grade, and she started DCI and could barely blow her nose. By the time she finished, she's playing 16-note runs, she's articulating, she's quality sound. Because what we talk about is we talk about a lot of the pedagogy that in some cases, I'm just gonna be honest, probably aren't happening in a lot of band rooms. We're talking about oral cavity, oral shape, where your tongue placement should be, how your air should be moving. And yeah, we talk about air production and so on and so forth, but there's another level to talking about air. We're doing breathing techniques, and a lot of people aren't doing those things. And when we start talking about orchestral rep, and one of the greatest things that was ever told to me was your marching band approach shouldn't be different than your wind ensemble approach. And I've always carried that with me, and I carry that with me when I was teaching in drum corps. So the truth of the matter is, we should be, and it kind of goes back to Quan and what he was saying, we should be bringing a lot of that education into what we're doing. The problem is a lot of people don't know it, and a lot of people ain't going to get it. They're getting popularity off the things that they do know, and the things that they don't know, they shy away from. And they ain't gonna go get it because why? They got 1,000-something views. So they're good. They comfortable. They're not hungry enough to go and get that other part of the education that they're probably missing. One of the things that I was super happy about because I got put in that arena, and my best friend, Ricardo Brown, told me this. He said, Luke, you can do this job. You know your music, you know education, you know trumpet. So I walked in with the information that I knew, but I came out with so much more because I was put into a space that I was actually uncomfortable about. I was scared because I didn't know what it felt like to walk into a room because DCI don't look like us. They just don't. And it's just the reality. But I came out with a lot more education than I went in, and I've taken that and I've actually taken that and I've taught Quan some things. I've taken that into my classroom, and a lot of my kids have been great for it. I had a student that I was teaching that 2017 year who was coming in on French horn, trumpet, but she was a clarinet player. Had never played trumpet a day in her life. And she made a region band on trumpet and clarinet. 1 year she did trumpet, and one year she did clarinet. She thanks me to this day. Her name is Sam. You can go look her up on my Facebook page. But I think that's what it is. We're just missing a lot of the education that we should have that we're not giving. So I don't know if anybody else got anything to add to that.
You got
Yeah, because it don't reach that far.
I have a question. Do you think that a big problem with our development with our students is not just the director, but maybe the staff? Something that DCI has technicians. And the first time I've ever heard of a technician was, I think we were at Allentown. And I was like, so you don't have staff, you have technicians and technicians that focus on certain areas. So do you think that we need more of that model versus You know, I hire my homeboy.
Well, for me, I absolutely, we should. However, we know for some of our situations and scenarios, we have to make $1 out of 15 cents. So that means for us, that means you need to be well versed. Again, my principal instrument is percussion, but the way that I teach brass, you would be like, well, he could be a good second trumpet player. You know, I'm not a screamer like Luke. However, I can hold my own. You know, but that will be the goal, is to learn as much as you can, because for me myself, I'm the only band director. I'm blessed to have my percussion instructor. He's an alumni at the school that I taught, and I marched with him as well. Outside of that, all music pedagogy comes from me. So when that student comes to you with all those troublemaking questions and problem-solving questions, I have to figure that out. So I buy one book every month and read that book so that I can be better. I attend Midwest Clinic. I attend TMEA. Some of that is out your own pocket. And then another thing with social media, I'll be the one that just DM you to ask you. The worst you could tell me is no, and I'm gonna ask why after. Okay, this student has an airy sound on the flute, but you're a principal flautist for the Philharmonic in New York. Could you answer this question for me? Yes, they politely give me the troubleshooting techniques to fix it, but you have to be hungry to fix that. I really feel the way that I grew up, that people are not hungry for this craft, and they just want the title and the accolades, but they're not really trying to transmogrify lives. I wish we could have technicians. I wish that I could honestly just do with battery for a drum section. That's easy. Instead of saying, okay, I have to do with trumpets, baritones, trombones, flutes, all at the same time. And learn how to run rehearsals properly while not boring this section and I'm fixing this one. But we have to honestly begin walking into some realities for some of the things. And that's why I feel like the student teaching process, you need to teach at a low socioeconomic school. You need to teach at a Title I, II, and III school. You need to honestly develop a 5-year plan for a band. Because most of them, if we're gonna be honest, you think the first year, we just gonna be cracking. Nah, bro, stop that. Stop your line. You know, but you know what I'm saying? So these are the issues that we're having overall. So yes, should we have more technicians? Absolutely. But then we have to ask ourselves, are the technicians we're hiring, do they know? Because let's be honest, bro. Like, most of us only when we walked away from school really only knew what our band director put in front of us. So if you're not exposing those music major students to everything, during those conducting classes, if they're not conducting a piece for the wind ensemble that year for concert, that was a disservice. Not just stand in front of the marching band, but I'm in front of your concert band. And then when it comes to arranging, just a step further, we should have lab bands too. Because some of them are that sound great on finale. Don't sound that good when you put them in real life. So that's my take.
One of the things I find really fascinating about these types of conversations and the event is that what you guys are all doing is you're artists. I have an interesting perspective because of what I do, and I work with, jazz musicians, a lot of professional musicians. I had the opportunity to work with a visual artist this last summer. We created an incredible piece for the new airport in Kansas City, and I'm starting to really connect how band directors are also artists. And so if you think about this, exactly what you're talking about, you got to the table to talk to your grandparents, right? They invited you to the table because you're now aware of different things, and now you can have a relevant perspective for that conversation. But if you don't continue to grow, are they gonna send you to the kids' table? Okay, you said something smart, now get back over there.
Right.
It's always, you're continuing to be aware of yourself and you want to grow. And that's really the artistry, I think. I think directors coming to an event like this, the consortium, they're clearly dedicated to their craft and wanting to improve and gain more perspective and more awareness of how they can improve. and you're talking, this is very relevant to a lot of these band directors, because I've been into a lot of situations. I've had the pleasure of visiting a lot of band directors in their band room. And you do see, what is the job at the end of the day? You guys are inspiring the next generation of musicians. Freddie Hubbard played French horn in his concert band. He had access to a wide range of different musical styles. And that's what essentially inspired him to pursue music professionally. Marching band, you're in college for 4 years. You're exactly right. There's no professional marching band. So what's happening after that? We talked about being aware of the instrument. Charlie Parker talked about, and Bob Watson still says today, you need 3 elements to be a really master at your musician. As a musician, you need to be aware of your instrument and have a really deep relationship with the instrument. Now you got kids in New Orleans that can play anything in B flat. They can think it and play it because that's what they've been playing their whole life. But then you have awareness of the music and knowing all the scales and the circle of fifths and all this stuff, but then having something that you can say, having awareness of yourself. So I find it fascinating that all we're talking about here is how to really continue to inspire, making opportunities available. Maybe it's the jazz band that connects with that person to inspire them. So what you guys are doing is so important. I think this conversation is really great. And I think that's the antidote I'm taking away is that it's all self-awareness. That's what education is, and that's what you guys are looking for. So again, I commend you guys for having this conversation.
Thank you. Is that Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri?
Come on, guy. Kansas City, Missouri.
All right, that's my dad's from Kansas City, Missouri.
All right.
Yeah. So I had to find out.
This question is for the panel. When students come to the university and want to major in music, the first thing they say is, I want to be a high school band director.
Do you?
What do you think people should tell them? Because they think all you do is you get out and march. They don't realize you got to teach them to play. You got to teach beginner band, intermediate band, advanced band. You got to look at kids with all kinds of problems and be able to fix it. And sometimes they come out of college and they have problems that need to be fixed too.
Yeah.
And if they have problems, how are they going to create a better band for the future? I don't see it. I worry about our profession because COVID was only almost 2 years. And look at how much everybody's program
Impact.
Yeah. And it's going to take some time. I'm here at the HBCU-NBDC Consortium, and I'm looking at how much our numbers are down. And I'm feeling that our numbers are down because people haven't had time to do concert band. All of their time is out pretty much watching. And maybe we have to make a stand and figure out how to get the train back on the track. Because it's like the trains in Ohio right now. And if we don't do something, we're going to get a much shorter end of the stick. Because when budgets are cut, they're not going to cut science. And they're not going to cut the other areas, but they're going to consider all of the arts to be a frill that can be done without. And I feel that what we do is more important than some of the other subjects that they take in school. Because music is mathematics, music is English, music is science, music is history, music is everything that they take. We just have to do a better job of presenting it to everybody that we can expose to. And the only way we can do that is to give a complete package. And if we're not going to think about giving a complete package, it's similar to when you have a pack of dogs and there's only a little food, and the one that is the strongest will grab the bones and take it, and he won't even look back at the others. And that's what I think is going to happen to a lot of programs. There's going to be so much cranking, so much playing of the same songs from the beginning of school year to the end of the year that people are going to say, why are they necessary? And if we don't help each other and pull each other up, I don't know what we're gonna do in the future. But I'll be retired.
So, well, let me. So I'm gonna say this, and I've said it multiple times on the show. I think the evolution of technology is amazing. I think it's definitely important. I think social media is great, but I also think it's hurting more than helping. And we have a great friend of the show, Justin, who's part of Smash Time. Well, his company is Smash Time, who does a lot of recordings for, the marching bands and things like that. And I know that myself, Quan, Portia, I know that the show has challenged him on multiple occasions. Record more concert bands. Because the problem is that we have, I don't know, 30,000 now videographers, and nobody's really recording concert bands. I don't want to seem like the old guy here.
We are.
I mean,
We are, bro.
on the panel maybe, but
Mentally.
in the room we are. but no, I don't want to seem like the old guy here, but I appreciated a time where if you missed it, you missed it.
Yep.
Because it gave you more hunger to want to do it, want to be a part of it, want to see it. Now it's like, well, I can just go look at it anytime I want to. And it's all on the internet. It's everywhere. No jazz bands are being recorded like that. No wind ensembles are being recorded like that. And I'm just gonna be honest, a lot of people kind of feel like, well, that's not being recorded, so I'm not gonna put that much energy into it as much as I would for marching band. So, when it comes to what you said, Dr. Phillips, no, I agree. I absolutely agree. And if you have a student who comes in and all they want is that high school band, I don't know, it kind of be like that old school, look to your left, look to your right. Like, hey, you probably don't get that high school band you want home.
Right, it's not that many high schools.
And if you get a high school, it ain't gonna be the kind you want.
Right.
It's gonna be 10 kids, and you're gonna have 5 instruments. My first teaching job out of school was St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands. And when I walked into that band room, I had 12 instruments, 2 trombones, 5 trumpets, some percussion somewhere, but I had 25 kids signed up for band. And I had to figure out how to make it work. And it just is what it is. But I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't taught how to deal with that. So I had to figure that stuff out. But when I went into college, I had ice cream dreams. I came from Willie Ridge High School. When I got in the high school band, I had 280 people in my band. Hey, I did. You know what I'm saying? We were doing show style shows, and we were doing UIL and making ones consistently. So I thought that was normal until I walked out there and said, hey, this ain't normal. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, I think that one, we have to expose a lot more of what we do, not just the marching band, but I also think there's a level of reality that we also have to hit with these kids. If somebody would have told me when I walked in, hey, I know what you want, but hey, this is what the reality is. And I'm gonna prepare you for that reality. I would have had to think a little differently, and then I would have had to make a decision. Like, I don't know, is really what I want to do? But I would have stuck it out anyway because I was in Virginia and I wasn't going back to Houston without a degree. I just wasn't doing that. So, I think that it does, go back to what Quan said about that level of hunger too. I was hungry to get my degree. My mother wanted me to come back home and go to Texas Southern. I said, no, I ain't going to Texas Southern. I'm going to finish where I started. So I think there is that level of hunger too. I don't know, Quan, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I want to say this real quick, and I get to your question, sir. For me, what I've learned about this profession, in the words of Nipsey Hussle, this is a marathon. It is not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I taught about 6 or 7 years, mediocre teacher, general music here, there, band director, charter school sectors, whatnot. I prayed, and I was looking at Dr. William P. Foster. He was playing, I forgot the blues song, but it was like 1955. They were marching up and down the field. It's a black and white video. Mm-hmm. You can go look at it. And I was like, man, God, I want to be like that. And for those who don't know, I'm a believer in Christ, and I feel like I'm his child. I can ask him whatever I want, he gonna give it to me. And I was like, I want to be like that. Well, God has a sense of humor because I realized, I'm from him. So when I prayed, I ended up getting fired that year from my current job. And so I'm fully certified. I was like, well, God, I said I wanted to be great. Where you want me to go? He said, go to Worthing. Now, those that don't know, Worthing is a South Side school in the hood. Rappers come from there. And he was like, go there. And I was like, you sure? Like, I'm not questioning you like I'm, disrespecting your authority. But you want me to go to Worthing? And it was confirmed. And I went to Worthing, and everything that I needed to learn, I'm learning now. How to fix this, how to troubleshoot flutes, how to do because there's certain life experiences that you can't read out of a book. You just have to endeavor through. So now that hunger ensured me that I attained my master's degree. And then in the near future, I'll be in doctoral school because I'm still hungry. To call band directors, on a whim, just to see how do you chart your arrangements. I mean, anytime me and Luke are together, I'm always asking him something. Like, before I leave here, because you paid your money, you better walk away with something because you paid for it. So my thing is, if somebody tells you that they want to be a high school band director, I would literally ask them, how do you teach? What type of musician are you? Because when I practice in front of my kids, they be like, well, let me pick up my horn because I'm just sitting here. But my band director is grinding and practicing. What like the vernacular and words that we use, if I'm not teaching that and embedding that in my kids so that you can speak back to me musically, then you're not ready to be a high school band director. Work at the middle school level so that you can be proficient in all of your areas before you talk about going to high school and college. And let me end with this. People need to understand that your job as a secondary band director is to prepare them for college. And y'all know for a fact, y'all college band directors, y'all be in these auditions, and y'all be like, okay, you played neck for your audition piece. Okay, so I'm only gonna be able to give you like 2,000.
Hey, remember the story that Rick told us about Big Poopy?
Yeah.
Big Poopy.
A dude was playing beating the hell out of a bass drum.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yes, I'm Anthony Jones, Director of Bands at Livingstone College.
Okay.
First HBCU to have a football game. So I feel some kind of way when we talk about halftime. Like, we had first halftime. And guess what? Everyone turned into a howl and said, education. But I got to piggyback on what you said. To go to, you got to go through. I got to piggyback on that. And one of the things that is we just had auditions for students, and they are not prepared to come to anyone's school. And we look at them and try to figure it out. But what I wanted to really address was that hunger. When someone says, I want to be a band director, I want to be a professional musician, I want to be a professional trumpet player, like you. When I say, okay, name me 5 NBA players, and they'll shoot them off. Now I say, name me 5 professional trumpet players. And it gets quiet. I'm like, okay, and then name me 5. I want to be a band director. Name me 5 collegiate band directors that you've been listening to.
Silence.
And it goes silent.
Crickets.
It's like, but you can tell me, be honest, you can tell me all these things that you have nothing to do, but as far as what you want to be professional, you have no recollection or and this is the music history, like you were saying before. We created this music, but no one's doing what we are not doing what we created. And that is so instead of it being music history, it's music mystery.
Put that on the shirt.
It's a new shirt.
Put that on the shirt.
It's live now. It's in there.
Exactly.
Right.
So that is the big thing. And finally, because I got to piggyback on it. But finally, we're evolving and we're getting to the point where they want to do more marching and stuff. But I asked them again, name your top musicians, name your top performers, and I'll say something like the Beatles. I said, the Beatles did go in the studio and record. They weren't going. None of our main people. Beyonce on tour all year.
Right.
So marching, no, not all year.
Not all year. Right.
We have to go in the studio. We have to get back in there and we have to create. I literally music mystery again. I had to pull up on YouTube and show a kid that Ray Charles played the saxophone. Like, what?
We did.
I'll use their tactic. We go on YouTube. I said, well, Stevie is bad on the drums. Yeah, Stevie.
Yeah.
On the drums.
Yep.
Percussion. And that's the other thing. Excuse me, I just cut you. Oh, yes. I try to make it a point that they understand this. You got brake specialists and you got mechanics. You got drummers and
Percussionists. Yep.
And so I applaud all of this because, like you said, we've got to get that out and we've got to show them that, and unfortunately, all of you make it look easy. That's the problem. I used to play basketball and I played and all that stuff. And everybody on the court can dunk. We make it look easy, but then when you get out there and try it,
Pull a hamstring.
Fail.
exactly.
Pull a hamstring.
We make it look easy. You have a band director. He makes it look easy. 125, 250 people, one person. You have a football coach. He has a special teams coach, a defensive.
Don't let Portia. Oh Lord.
A running back coach, a quarterback coach. The coaches in these stands been calling the plays down. That's and along with the trainers, water boy, and the cyclists and everybody else in the ice. But all you have is a baton. So you make it look easy, and unfortunately, we have to educate those administrators too. Thank you so much for allowing me just to. Thank you guys for that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I just want to say 2 words. Music licensing. That's what's keeping us from moving forward in a lot of different areas in music and music education. Music licensing. Make all of your students get an account on copyright.gov and then come and talk to me. I can help you with this.
Awesome.
That's a whole
That's a whole.
you can open up a whole nother can of worms.
Right.
I'm telling you.
I just want to say thank you for this conversation. As a person, I've spent my entire life on this side of the table of doing things differently than the SWAC. And I didn't even grow up with the SWAC. So my concept of band was what I dreamt it should be.
Let people know who's talking.
Yeah, tell them who you are. Tell them who you are.
Yeah, the people online don't even know who you are.
Say your name.
The great. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Started it off.
Melvin Miles, retired band director of Moore State University. And I spent 49 years in the trenches, developing and working in bands and educating people. But this conversation is a relevant conversation. It's a conversation that I have with students and administrators and alumni alike. That there's a time when we just stop with the marching and we move on to the wind group. Because wind music and jazz ensemble, and I did the jazz ensemble, I did the wind ensemble, I did the concert band, I did it all. And my point is just that you just have to stop. I remember someone asking me one time, well, how come I said, well, my students need more than just to march. They need to know how to play. And then working that information and then when my students started to understand that all the things that we did in the spring made them better players in the fall. And they kind of bought into it until anybody was coming to the place, anybody who was coming to Morgan understood that they were gonna have a spring session of jazz and concert band, and then we were still march. And I had a cutoff date. You know, we had a band show the first week in December. That was my cutoff date. And people would say, well, we need you to march here and march there. I said, no, that's put aside. I said, we put that aside just like you put the football team aside. You don't ask the football team to play a football game in April. I said, so the marching band serves a particular period of time. Our main job is to service football. Football is no longer in session. And I intermingled pep band, made sure that we had enough service for pep band.
Right.
But I never allowed to get in the way of things that we had to do in terms of progressing with winning groups. So I just wanted to say that I applaud this conversation. I just think it's a conversation that we need to continue to have, so that we all can grow as band directors, and we can support and help encourage band directors who are addicted to marching band and addicted to social media. Because, you know, I've been told, like, well, you didn't really get a lot of licks on social media. I said, but you do know we were good. I said, I didn't have to be on social media. You knew we were good. I said, when you heard us, you knew we were good. And you seen us, you know we were good. I don't need a whole lot of likes for that. And all my students that went through the program, they came out pretty good. They've grown up to be great teachers, administrators, and all of sorts. But I'm just want to say that thank you for the conversation. Thank you for your position. And thank you for bringing that forward.
Well, thank you for
your
service.
Absolutely.
You being here with us is like amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I've heard stories.
That makes me feel warm inside right now.
I enjoyed the conversation. My name is Antoine Smith. I am now currently the band director at District Harper High School in Baltimore, Maryland. I know you guys probably have touched base on this. I think one of the things that we also need to do as educators is also we cannot forget the elementary and middle school teachers. Because I taught elementary and middle school a whole bunch of my years as a teacher, and that's it. And I think we all know that these little babies, these 5-year-old to 10-year-old babies, they are impressionable.
Yeah.
And if we want to kind of at least help with rising that bar, we need to start with them.
Yep.
And we need to hire. And I kind of disagree with your statement where you kind of said we need good high school teachers. Yes, we do. But our best educators in music need to be our elementary and middle school teachers. That's who we need our best in those levels. No offense to high school, because I'm in high school, I'm back in high school. But when I taught elementary, everybody think elementary was easy.
Oh, no.
It's not easy.
That's why I ain't
Trying to teach a hard concept and making it easy for a kindergartner, that is tough work, and you really have to study your craft. And you really have to be at a level to where they can understand it. I mean, at an elementary school, you teach in 1, 4, 5. You know, how can you do that with fourth grade students? And you know, so we need to say if we want to change, if we want to make our culture better and make our musicianship better, all that good stuff, it had to start from kindergarten all the way to that 9th grade level.
The foundation.
And that's going to benefit our college directors.
Right.
You know, and it's at the end of the day. So I enjoyed the conversation. I love that. I love this type of conversation. But I know you guys probably have addressed it before, but it needs to be addressed again. And we need to make sure that our elementary, that we need to have great educators in that elementary and middle school level. Because if not, it's not going to benefit high school directors like me.
Or
and
university.
It's definitely not going to benefit the college directors. So I enjoyed it, and I think, you know, if you guys have a comment about that, pick it back on that. I look forward to hearing what y'all saying.
Yeah, so because I know we get ready to cut this short. Y'all can see why now we go an hour and a half, 2 hours long on the show, because the conversation can get really intense. But no, I agree with you. I was blessed to be able to work in Duncanville ISD. If you don't know anything about Duncanville ISD, it's in the state of Texas. It's one of the top programs in the state of Texas. I think one of the issues that we have is structure. And Quan talks about this all the time. And I was blessed to be able to be in a position to be able to see what that looks like when you're doing it the right way. The truth of the matter is, we're talking about our schools, structure is all bad. We have middle school band directors who wanted to be college band directors and don't have the strength to be able to teach middle school. And elementary. So that's where you start getting your middle school marching bands. But the kids still don't know what they need to know to be better. Oh, but they know how to blow. No, I can't say that.
You can't say that.
I can't say that. I'm in a public forum. But they know yeah.
Blow that wall.
Yeah, we can blow that wall. Yeah. They know how to do that though. You know, being in that area, we started our kids at 5th grade. We put instruments in their hand at 5th grade. And I had a conversation when we were at TMEA. I was able to sit down with the assistant band director to the middle school who feeds into Hebron High School. And Hebron High School is the top program in Texas.
All of Texas.
And their philosophy was the same philosophy that we have in we had at Duncanville, and the same philosophy that they have in Roy City, which is where I live right now. She said the same thing that they told me when I got there. Our job is to get them to the high school as a middle school director. Our job isn't to compete against anybody. Our job is to get them to the high school and get them prepared for high school. So it was one day that we had a high school band day during the football season. And we brought all the middle school kids. And before we went into the stadium, this is exactly what the conversation was. Hey, I want you guys to meet these kids from this middle school and meet these kids from this middle school, because these are going to be your bandmates next year. There wasn't a conversation of, oh, we in this middle school, so we don't mess with them. It was everybody's coming together because you're going to be here next year. And this is going to be the place where you build. That's not how it happens in most of our schools. It's just not. We're divided. We don't understand what the importance of teaching these kids at a younger level to get them prepared for the middle school, to get them prepared for the high school, to get them prepared for the university. All we're doing is we're feeding our selfish endeavors and egos.
Building band heads earlier.
Yeah. So no, I absolutely agree with you. But our systems and structures are all off. So this is the last one? Oh,
Hello, everybody. Julie area in the area. I wanted to personally thank you guys for coming. I really, really enjoy what you do. I don't get to catch it all the time, but when I do catch it, I catch it. And so as a person that has worked with Norfolk State University, I'm from the Virgin Islands. Big up, big up, big up. And I come from a long history of musicians. My father was a band director, so I started very, very early. And music is very important to our culture. We are blessed to now have instruments again in the space. Conselmer, I'm on the team.
Come on.
yes.
I'm in there, guys. And I want to say to you guys, hey, come out to these events. Yes, the consortium participation has been very low this year, and we understand, but we want to get you guys to come out more. Tell everybody to come out to this. This is important. We started it 04, 05 was the first convention. We're coming up on 20 years of this organization, and it's dwindling, it's dying because of all of the factors that you mentioned before. Come out to the other events, the CSIs, we have that coming up June 11th to the 14th. We have CSI Atlanta at the end of this month, we're in April now. We have to come out to these things. It's important for everybody that is in music education to attend these events. Exposure, as you all mentioned. Thank you very much for coming out.
Yeah, I got to shut down the show on the live, but no. But if you guys want to check us out, we're on YouTube every Wednesday, 7:15 Central Standard Time. I guess that's 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, get it in Passion Is Network. You'll see us right there. Subscribe to it. Turn on your notifications. And I guarantee you, these conversations are exactly the same. Different topics every week, and we try to keep it going. One of our Passion Is people, Chuck, is back there. And then Crystal, she's part of the Passion Is Network as well. So her show is on the same YouTube. So you can get all of that on one network. So I thank you guys. This has been great. Everybody who's watching, I appreciate y'all. We're going to shut it down now. But thank you guys. Y'all may continue with your regularly scheduled programs.
No, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, go ahead. Man, same here, bro.